Away, evil one! Away!
In his house in Rillier, dead Cthulhu waits dreaming.
You ever played D&D before?
No.
What kind of character do you play?
I play a cultist.
But you are a cultist.
I'm growing gills. Gills! My transformation into a deep one has finally begun. Father Dagon be praised.
Rob, we don't see any gills.
The coffee-drinking cultists who meet under the pavilion. I can bring them to you.
Did you not bring them to me within 3 days? Then you're back on the menu. Got it?
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
It's the cultists of the Yellow King. We're being infiltrated.
I need a spell to kill Steve.
That escalated.
Kill, kill, kill! What happened? They'll fall fast asleep, and I'll take them to the cult of Shub.
Were you trying to slip us a Mickey? As soon as I learn this spell, you are done for.
It's like Twilight, but with a fish.
Good morning, everyone. Good to see you. Oh, I was about to ask what you had, Inner Light. We're talking about what type of coffee we've got or what type of drink you've got. I like to drink coffee in the mornings. I've got Cultist coffee this morning right here. Inner Light has French vanilla caramel chai tea, also a fantastic choice. Whatever your drink of choice is, this is a good place to have it, chill out, and talk about geek-related stuff today. We're going to be looking at Ritual, the rules for Ritual, the advanced playtest rules for a social deduction party game about Cthulhu that we are bringing out. Matt says good morning. Hello, everybody. Take a sip of your drink. And then also, let's breathe. That really does help, by the way. So you should do it with me. Take a sip, enjoy, breathe. The reason I'm doing it is because I realize that if I do that, then I'm a bit calmer for the stream here, and it makes the stream go better. So breathe with me, or remind me to breathe and sip. That does well. So, okay, so we're going to be looking at Ritual today. I do want to draw your attention to the fact that we had an experimental stream last night, and it's still up. It's called the Evening Grind, because we're trying a little bit of an experiment here. I may take the Evening Grind down, but I'm going to leave it up for a little while, because if you didn't see it, I want you to check it out if you will. And then, like I said, it's highly experimental, right? So this is the first time I did it. But leave some comments if you think that the idea is a good idea, if it's something that we should continue to do, because I want these live streams to be something that benefits you. We're all hanging out, and I really want to form a good community that helps everybody become better. And so what we were doing at the end, we started an experimental section at the end of this live stream. We're going to do that again today. At the end of the live stream, after we've talked about our main topic, then we take a look at how we can be more productive during the day, what we need to do in order to accomplish what we want to accomplish during the day, take a few minutes to plan that out. And then my idea was that the Evening Grind is a place to hang out for a shorter amount of time than the Morning Grind. We come back together 11 or 12 hours after the Morning Grind, and then we chill, we wind down through the day, but then also evaluate the day, see if we did what we wanted to do, and if we did, we celebrate. If we didn't, then we think of, okay, why, and how do we readjust? So take a look at that idea. Stay with us if you'd like for the end of this. We'll do the life improvement section of this after we look at the game rules, and then also do check out the Evening Grind, and let me know if that's a good idea. Also, let's see here. Well, let's see. Access Inner Light says maybe it should be the Evening Wind Down. Well, wind down. Yeah, well, that could be that could work too. Maybe the name needs to change. Hello. Yep, with wine. Excellent wine. Good choice too. So that would be a bookend on the day. We would have the Morning Grind, and then we would have the Evening Grind, or whatever we're doing. I'm trying deliberate recreation, active recreation at the end of each day. in the middle of each day, about 3 o'clock, to go on some type of active adventure. I have been trying to go hiking, and I'm not going to be live streaming that on Twitter or something like that on YouTube. But if you need another marker in your day, I'm going to try to have some type of adventure. I've got to hike to a winery. There is a winery that I can hike to here. I want to do that. Also trying experimental stuff like that. Experimental, like fire building, go for a hike, got to build the fire, got to cook lunch. If I want lunch, got to cook it by a fire or something like that. So I think that might be fun. And then, so that's a break, and then coming back, and then maybe evening grind. I'm also thinking about, this is still experimental, this whole stream, because I'm thinking, this is a 30-day, I'm thinking about 30-day experiment. And so I'm wondering if I need to go by day, like a topic by day, like world building Wednesdays. And then one day we take a look at stories and story analysis. And then the other day we take a look at the RPGs and things like this. So we've been obviously very RPG heavy. We're about to do tabletop games today. But, there's going to be a variety of topics here. Okay, let's go to the morning messages, and then we'll jump into it. Friday night at 7:30 p.m. Central Time, The Cultists Season 2, Episode 6 is going to premiere. It's called Power Word Kill. There are only 10 episodes in the second season. This is already episode number 6. It'll premiere here at 7:30 p.m. Central Time. Everybody can hang out in the chats. I'll be here. The director will be here as well. So we'll all be able to watch the show. If you don't know the show The Cultists already, it's our comedy web show about modern-day Lovecraftian cultists who are just trying to worship Cthulhu in a world full of people who don't understand. It's kind of a mockumentary-style show. And I would love to have you for the premiere of that episode at 7:30. And then immediately after that, we will switch over to the live after party. I'm the creator, the co-writer, and the producer of the show, but I will be live with Brianna De Silva. She is the co-writer and the director of the show. So we'll be talking about some behind-the-scenes things about the show, having a good time talking about related things, and we'll have a tabletop-related giveaway. I like to do one of those every Friday. This Friday, I'm going to be giving away a dice tray. I'm not sure what art there's going to be, but here's an example. They are handmade dice trays. We made these down in my workshop. This is one that I made with different people who have been part of the Raven Key production effort. So I still have some left, and one of those will be given away on the live stream. So be there, enjoy, hang out with everybody, and also potentially win a dice tray. If you don't know the Cultists and you want to get caught up, if you come over to my YouTube channel, the best way to do that is to go to one of the playlists. I try to organize everything on the YouTube channel by a playlist, and if you just scroll down, here is the Season 2 playlist. You can click Play All and go all the way through the playlist, or right below it, there is a Season 1 right there. So you can click there and go all the way through Season 1 as well, and that'll get you caught up on all of the every episode's like 5 to 7 minutes long. There are 10 episodes in the first season, 10 episodes in the second season. So if you watch those and you enjoyed them, please do like the videos and leave a comment. I read them all. So coming up soon, however, is Ritual. This is the Cthulhu Cultist party game of spellcasting and betrayal. This is the game that we designed to go along with the Cultists. We'd really like to be able to do Season 3 of the Cultists. The scripts of that has already been written, and so what we did is we created a board game, a social deduction party game to go along with the Cultists, and we called it Ritual. You can see here we've even got miniatures of all of the different cultists on here. So if you go over here to Game Found, you can see more information about what the game is. You can even follow it right here and get updates. Updates before the campaign even goes live. That's a nice thing about GameFound, and then we'll be launching soon. I don't have a date yet, but we'll be launching soon. You can come here, you can check out the trailer for the game, look at the miniatures. If you click that follow button, then you will get a Rob, High Priest of Dagon in combat pose miniature if you then later come and back the game. So if you'd like to join the play test, you can see how to play right here. This is our basics on how to play. But if you would like to join the play tests and get access to a special advanced copy of the rules. Also, I'll send out a Discord server invite to all of the playtesters and so forth. You can click that link. You'll just go to a playtest request form, and you can get in there. I've had over 700 people already sign up, so I would love to have you as part of that as well. Also, Terra Tiles are in pre-order right now. I am reprinting Terra Tiles. This is my tabletop terrain system that I designed with my brother several years ago. It's been out of print. I'm bringing it back into print. Terra Tiles are large, thick, and durable hexagons that are designed to put out on your gaming table to lay out battlefields fast, whether you're trying to do war games or skirmish games or RPGs. Great for different games, especially that use zones for determining movement. check those out. There are a whole bunch of different videos on Terra Tiles on this channel. I also used Terra Tiles to create a fully three-dimensional, hexagonal, modular terrain system for my gaming room. I always wanted a terrain system that fit together really well for the table, for the large-size miniatures like we use for skirmish games or RPGs or even war games like Warhammer or something like that. So I was able to use Terra Tiles to create a table for that in about a day's worth of work. I mean, it wasn't all that much effort if you wanted to go the extra step and try to get some 3 dimensions in there. I put up a whole video on YouTube, a whole video series actually, about how to do exactly that. So if you want a box of Terra Tiles, they're going to be very limited in number, and if you want one of the boxes to have your name on it, you need to do a pre-order through ravenkeep.net. All right, that's what's going on right now. Let's get... All right. So our main topic is the ritual rules today, and I've got them here. And it's actually been a little while since I've looked at them. So I'm kind of glad about that. So I can look at them with fresh eyes, and I can look at them with you as well. There's there's so many different social deduction games, but they've all got kind of the same idea and the same kind of similar structure to them. And this game came about, Ritual did, because as one of the parties, the after parties with the cast and crew of the Cultists, we were playing Secret Hitler, and that was the first time I had played a game like that. And I was thinking, wait a minute, we should do a game like this, except for you're the cultist being infiltrated by the Yellow King. And I thought, that was a great idea. So we generated that idea and then created the board game. I did put the link to the playtest. I know many of you are here because you were probably already on the playtest list, but if you're not, I put the link in the chat. So let's bring up this. So there have already been 2 rules previews that have gone out to the playtester. So yes, so Access Your Inner Light says, yes, it's kind of like Secret Hitler. Okay. I mean, it kind of is. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely inspired by those kinds of games. So let me get my screen set up here. So there have been 2 rounds of rules that have gone out, and I've got up the one that I can type in. So if we have questions and comments, I can put them in. This right now is version 0.6 of the rules, and I want to send out another version out to everybody on the playtest list with an invite to the Ravenkeep Discord server and all of that. But I want to go over it this way first. But this is what we've got right now for version 6. And also, if you can think of a good way for us to play test this online, that would be great. I would like to do that. I've had requests to do that, but I haven't come up with a way to test it online that is easy, because it needs to be an easy thing to do, especially for people who are coming in. If you want to do this online, people can, log in someplace or whatever, and then we could play. But it also needs to be easy to set up in advance, like for me, because I could think of setting up a whole bunch of stuff on one of those really complex tabletop simulators. I've done that before. I've set up whole games over there, and they take a long time. And if I put that much effort into it, first of all, it needs to be used. So I don't know how many people would be interested anyway. So I need an easy way to set it up, and then an easy way for people to come in and play test. So if you have an idea there, please let me know. All right. Sip and breathe. All right. So Ritual, a game of cultists, Cthulhu, and the Yellow. Rules version 0.6 by review. Game design, Heath Robinson. Brianna was doing graphic design for this. So she's been the graphic designer. Card art. I do have one artist already for the card, one of the card backs. So need to put that in there. Now I do have a playtest form as well that's specific to this, because if you playtest it, you can just get the rules, analyze it, put comments in the comment section below or the chat or whatever, send things in. But if you do actually try it out, and then with a gaming group, then there's actually this link right here that you'll be able to get actual playtest credit in there. So here are our playtesters. I put in changes from version 0.5 for the people who were just coming in. And then here we go. Now, also, we want to look for clarity in rules, layout. We've been looking at that. And we've been reading over all these RPGs. Does the rule book actually allow you to have a direct and simple way to learn how to play. So we'll see about this. Okay. Ritual is a social deduction game based on the comedy web series The Cultists, available on YouTube. The yellow is everywhere, and the devoted followers of Yog-Sothoth, Dagon, Cthulhu, and Azathoth believe the cultists of the Yellow King are preparing to sacrifice the town to their dread master. There is only one thing the intrepid band of cultists can do to stop them, and that's summon Cthulhu. With Cthulhu on our side, the cult of the Yellow King won't stand a chance. So to summon Cthulhu, the cultists must complete 5 esoteric rituals, but they often go wrong. Is this because the cultists are just inept, or have the cultists of the Yellow King infiltrated the cult and are sabotaging it from within? Players are secretly divided into 2 teams, the loyal cultists and the sinister agents of the Yellow. Players are free to make claims and accusations at any time during the game. The game will require discussion and deception, and perhaps a bit of luck and logic. Okay, so what do you think about that? That is what's happening. Players are divided into 2 teams. That's what has to happen in order to win. So there we go. So winning the game right here. This is where I thought it was. I want to put winning the game right up there at the front. That way, what exactly are we trying to do in this game? That should be something that we always do for especially simple games, because you're like, here is what the success and the victory conditions of the game are. But it should also be for more complicated games. I've played a lot of, the big box games. And sometimes, often, there are a whole bunch of options and things that you could possibly do during the game. But it's really important to clarify directly what exactly it takes to win. What are you trying to do? What is your objective? Do that up front. And I like to start, actually, when I'm explaining games to people, start with how we are actually going to be winning this game. Don't start with, I don't know, telling, if you're thinking about explaining Axis and Allies to somebody, or Mansions of Madness or something, don't start with, well, now here's your card and here's what the different symbols mean and things. Here's how you win. Here's what you're doing. So the loyal cultists win if they are able to successfully complete 5 rituals. The agents of the yellow win if they can cause the failure of 3 rituals, or if the players fail to form a casting team 5 consecutive times. Okay, we got to vote for a good summary. All right, thank you. So that's our victory condition. Loyal cultists need to do 5 rituals. Agents of the yellow win if they can cause the failure of 3 or more rituals. So here's what's going to come in the box. Oh, and I should show off. I'm actually not having a great day this morning. Sleep didn't go quite as well as I would have liked, and that's thrown everything off. And now I found that I am missing things like my rubber fish. It's a terrible morning when I'm I've lost the rubber fish, because this would be a great morning to have it with me. And also I will show you what size box this is coming in. And I don't see the box. Yes, I do. That models this. So I'm thinking that Ritual needs to come in a box that is about this size right here. So we're talking about, since it's a party game, it's a box that you can take with you really easy, even a backpack, or have with you in the car or something like this. So not something that is Gloomhaven size or anything like that. And by the way, this is actually a board game designer's kit. If you are, one of the things you're trying to do is create board games yourself. This was provided by Wingo Games. I got it at Gen Con, and there is a video on my channel where I go through exactly what is inside this game designer's kit. But it's really good because it's got samples of all different things that a manufacturer can make, card sizes, different kinds of card stock, tells you all the specifications for that. And so if you are trying to create a game, and I forgot about this. Actually, one of my miniatures from Enchantress is actually in the board game designer's kit. They used one of my miniatures, and they used an example of that as a stand-up. So this is all kinds of samples about things that manufacturers can make for board games. So if you're thinking about designing a board game, that would be very handy. And so I was looking at that and had Brianna, while she was doing the graphic design, look at all of these specifications so that you know what you're designing to. So very useful to get and to check out if you were thinking about designing a board game. So that's the size box. Inside will be the game board. The game board indicates the number of rituals left to perform, and I'm thinking that the game board will be about this size. So, you unfold it just like this then. Board game designer's kit coming in handy. So the game board will be about this size. The game board indicates the number of rituals left to perform, as well as how many have been currently successfully cast and how many have been failed. There is also a track to record the number of consecutively failed attempts to form the casting team. Failed casting team formation marker, and I think this can have the really janky brand of Cthulhu that Rob has on his cheek on there. So this is just like a wooden marker with that on there. A marker to track the number of consecutively failed casting team formation votes. Cultist cards. These cards determine whether the players are loyal cultists or agents of the yellow. Cultist cards that indicate a player is a loyal cultist have the words loyal cultist on the front. Agents of the yellow have the words agent of the yellow on the front. And then on the back, of course, they're all the same because these are the ones you secretly deal out. The fish card. The fish card is used to indicate what player is the leader on any given round. What could possibly be more cultist than that? So I want it's going to be a card that's got a drawing of Rob's fish. And I think it should be the variant of the fish, which is what I should have around, but I can't find, that comes out of the water to see Rob. And, it's got the hearts in the eyes and the lipstick on and things like that. I think that would be fun. So like that picture for the fish card. The ritual cards. These cards describe the rituals the leader attempts to undertake. The cards indicate the number of players needed to conduct the ritual. Different ritual cards are used depending on the number of players in the game. And I think these need to be mini card in size. Ballot cards. Players use these cards to vote to accept or reject the casting team the leader has proposed for a given ritual. Casting cards. The players that chosen to perform a ritual use these cards to determine whether the ritual succeeds or fails. So here's the setup. Place the game board in the center of the table. Place 7 ritual cards that correspond to the number of players in the game board along the top track. The specific name of the ritual is not important. What matters is that each slot is filled with a ritual card that has the correct number of required players as indicated on the board and on the ritual card, and on each ritual card. The remaining ritual cards can be placed in the box. They will not be used in this game. So do I have examples of those handy? I don't. But we've got ritual cards. Each slot is filled with a ritual card that has the correct number of required players as indicated on the board and on each ritual card. So depending on the number of players you've got in the game, you're going to use different rituals because you've got, you have different numbers of players, so your votes are going to be different. 2, place the failed casting team formation marker on the 0 space on the board. 3, shuffle the casting cards and place them by the board. Each player gets a yes and a no ballot card. So those are whatever's blank on the back, not blank, but the same thing on the back, and then yes or no on the other side. Using the following chart to build the cultist deck, which will determine who will be loyal cultists and who will be agents of the yellow. There will be a different number of loyal cultists and agents of the yellow, depending on the number of players in the game. Any cultist cards not used should be placed back in the box. They will not be used during the game. Once assembled, the cultist deck should be thoroughly shuffled. So if you've got, like, for instance, 6 players, 4 of them will be loyal cultists and 2 of them will be agents of the yellow. If you got 10 players, then 6 of them will be loyal cultists and 4 of them will be agents of the yellow. So you deal 1 cultist card from the cultist deck to each player face down. This determines which players are on which team. The player should look at their card, but be careful not to reveal it to the other players. The players keep their cultist card face down in front of them. Randomly select a leader among the players and then give that player the fish card. I think it would be great to, as a stretch goal, as part of the Game Found campaign, be able to make a rubber fish so that you could actually have a rubber fish to pass around the table. Because, hey, while you're having fun in a party game, sounds like a rubber fish would be something fun to have. I do have the Idol of Cthulhu, and I think it would also be great to be able to do a replica of the Idol of Cthulhu from the cultists in like a squishy squeeze. And you put that on the table as well, because there would be a place on the game board where you could set this. You would actually have the Idol of Cthulhu sitting there while you're playing. We got a question here. Okay, was the chart borrowed from Secret Hitler? It seems like there are too many agents of the yellow, but I could be wrong. It's not an infiltration. That's a takeover. Well, could be. No, it wasn't directly adapted from Secret Hitler. In Secret Hitler, the number of fascists does change, right? I think it does, depending on the number of players, right? And then you always have one Hitler, and then everybody else is liberals. No, it's not. It wasn't a direct take from that. No, but I think it works. I think it works. But you're right that's a lot of cultists. they are being infiltrated. You're right. There are a lot of them. The agents of the yellow reveal themselves to one another. Now, this is similar to a lot of these social deduction games where the yellow cultists will know each other, and this is done by closing your eyes and doing that, and etc. However, none of the loyal cultists should know who the agents of the yellow are. In order to accomplish this, all players must close their eyes. The leader then says aloud the following script, being careful to provide enough time for all players to complete the instructions before moving on to the next step. Remember, the leader must also have his or her eyes closed during this stage and follow the instructions. This means the leader needs to be able to repeat the script without reading it. Or, alternatively, I think a great thing to do, what I would want to do is just put out the script as a YouTube video so that you can just always go to YouTube if you've got your phone with you, and then I'll read the script to you as part of a YouTube video, and then that way nobody has to memorize it. But it's short. There isn't as much going on here, so I think it'd be great to have a YouTube video that does this for you. So everyone closes their eyes. Then the agents of the yellow open your eyes and look around so you will know one another. Then the agents of the yellow close their eyes. Everybody should have their eyes closed. Then everybody opens their eyes, and then the game begins. Okay, so the game is played in a series of rounds, each of which has 2 phases, a ritualist assembly phase and a casting phase. So, ritualist assembly phase. First, the leader takes the leftmost ritual card from the top track to attempt. It would be nice to be able to show a card here. It's card bags. Do I have card front? You see some of the card fronts in on the Game Found page. That show the different rituals. I'm not sure if that's changed or not. But I tried to pull rituals from the cultists and also, obviously, of course, Lovecraft-inspired stuff, but also different kinds of rituals they've actually attempted in the cultists web show. So the leader, and they get progressively more difficult. The key here is that it becomes the leftmost. That's why he's picking the leftmost, because those are the easiest rituals to perform. And then as you go deeper into the game, you're going to hard rituals. And you have a set end for this game, because you've got the loyal cultists have to win 5, have to successfully complete 5 rituals. The loyal cultists have to screw up 3. So that means you're only going to cast 7 rituals during the entire game, right? And then you know it's over. So this game, it can't go on and on forever. Rituals must be attempted from left to right across the top track of the game board. This means that as a game progresses, rituals become more difficult to complete. Then the leader must assemble a team of players to attempt that ritual. Different rituals require different numbers of players to cast, and that's why they're getting more difficult, because you need more ritualists to complete the rituals. The number of required players is indicated by the green number by the hooded figure on the card. The leader himself or herself will always be nominated to partake in the ritual. The leader then clearly and publicly nominates other players to be part of the casting team until the number of players required for the ritual has been reached. No player nominated to be part of the ritual's casting team may refuse the nomination. All players may, however, discuss the nominations and argue for or against. After the nomination and discussion is complete, the leader calls for a vote. Every player the leader has nominated to be part of the casting team must vote on whether or not they agree the nominated players should attempt the ritual. The leader does not vote, as he or she is assumed to be voting yes, since he or she assembled the team. Each player nominated to be part of the casting team takes their ballot cards, selects yes or no, selects yes or no, depending on whether or not the players agree to attempt the ritual. So remember, it's only the nominated players that are voting. Everybody doesn't vote, because if everybody voted, you could always force the failure of a casting team if you are the yellow cultists, if you're the agents of the yellow. Because if you can't form this casting team 5 times, the agents of the yellow win. That's another victory condition for the agents of the yellow. So importantly, only the nominated players get to vote as whether or not this is a good team to assemble. So each player then places their vote card face down in front of them. All nominated players have chosen their card for the vote. The leader calls for all players to simultaneously reveal their vote cards. In order to succeed, the yes votes must be unanimous. There can be no vote. There'd be no votes. So, gameplay note: nominated loyal cultists may want to vote no on the proposed casting team if they believe the leader or one or more of the nominated players are agents of the yellow. Nominated agents of the yellow are likely to want to vote yes in order to make it onto the casting team so they can potentially screw up the ritual. If all players have voted yes, then the leader has assembled a team to complete the ritual. If the failed team formation marker is not at 0, it should be reset to 0 at this time. Play then proceeds to the casting phase. If a single player has voted no, then the leader has failed to assemble a team to attempt the ritual. Advance the failed team formation marker on the board by 1. If this is the 5th consecutive failure to form a casting team, the agents of the yellow immediately win the game. If this is not the 5th consecutive failure, the ritual card and the fish card are passed clockwise to the next player. That player is the new leader, and he or she begins a new ritualist assembly phase by selecting new players to attempt the ritual. Either way, the players return their ballot cards to their hand. What do you think? Is this clear? Is this not working? I always forget to take comments down. Not playable or not understandable? I also don't want people to, if you understand social deduction games, then I think there's a lot that you just would pick up on here. But I also don't want people to, have to study the rule book for hours in order to figure out what's going on. I mean, it's intended to be a party game, so I want you to be able to pull it out and play, even if you are just cracking it open for the first time. So either way, players return their ballot cards to their hand. Okay, I got 1 vote for clear. Thank you. All right. Casting phase. Okay, so now here is some different options here, because we were play testing some different options about what exactly happens here. So let's look at playtest option A. Okay, playtest option A. The leader takes the casting deck. So this is after we have successfully formed a ritual team. So the casting phase. Playtest option A. The leader takes the casting deck and secretly looks at the number of cards on the top of the deck equal to the total number of players on the casting team. So remember, the casting deck is different from the, your rituals. The casting deck card either says Yabba Zabba Da, which means yes, that you are successfully casting this ritual, or you're doing your part to cast the ritual. Or you have a no card, which means that you're flubbing it, right? That would be how the Cultist of the Yellow King flub the ritual. They get onto the casting team, and then they play a no card. So the leader takes the casting deck and secretly looks at the number of cards on the top of the deck equal to the total number of players on the casting team, including him or herself. The leader may discard any of the cards and arrange those remaining in any order and put them back on top of the casting deck. The leader then deals 2 cards to each player. So what's going on here is that this is giving the leader some control over whether or not the ritual is successfully cast or not. He's looking at these cards in secret. They either say Yabba Zabba Da or no. I mean, Yabba Zabba Da, that has to be part of this because of the cultists, right? So Yabba Zabba Da or no. If the leader were an agent of the Yellow King, then he might want to get rid of some Yabba Zabba Da cards to pass those out. If the leader is a loyal cultist, then he may want to get rid of some of the no cards, right? So the leader takes the casting deck and secretly looks at the number of cards on the top of the deck equal to the total number of players on the casting team. The leader may discard some of them and then deals 2 cards to each player. So he's not able to look at all the cards. He's still dealing some at random, right? And that means that everybody who's on the ritual team has 2 different cards, which the leader had some control over. Okay, so playtest option B here. The leader takes the casting deck and secretly selects 1 card of his choice for each player on the casting team, including him or herself. The casting deck is then shuffled and an additional card is dealt to each player. The leader should shuffle the 2 cards before handing them to the desired player, so it's not possible to know which casting card was chosen and which one is the random card. This one does give the leader more info, because the leader knows what card. You know, I know I gave that person a Yabba Zabba Da. This one, or a no, or whatever. This one is less information for the leader. And it might be that the this might get too complex, but we might need a shuffle here of all the cards to be dealt. So that would this would let the leader kind of stack the deck, but then it's still sort of randomized. This one is much more direct. Oh, really? Okay. So we've got a call on Secret Hitler here. So that's good to know. I looked up Secret Hitler. They have 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4. So I guess I was wrong. Your Agents of the Yellow is actually less than their fascists in a 9-player game. Interesting. Okay, gameplay note. This allows the leader to deliberately place either a Yabba Zabba Da card or a failure card into the hands of each player participating in the ritual. If you're doing playtest option B here. If the leader is an agent of the Yellow King, it means he or she can always force a failed ritual in this way by selecting a failure card for himself and then choosing it to play. So yeah, it's true. If the leader is an agent of the Yellow King and you're doing playtest option B, then the leader will always be able to force the failure. And so this is the most important. This is the linchpin of the game. I think everything else is working very well, but we've got to make sure that we have a great system for when we are actually trying to cast the ritual that provides just enough information to the leader, but not too much. And also, ideally, if an agent of the Yellow King is on the casting team, then it sure would be nice if the agent of the Yellow King could always cause the failure, right? Because like here, okay, let's say that the leader is kind of stacking the deck and you're only going to have to play from what you're dealt. Well, you could be an agent of the Yellow King, but you're dealt 2 Yabba Zabba Da cards. Well, then you don't have a choice. You have to play Yabba Zabba Da. So that would mean that the Yellow King agents got there, but that they weren't, because of some random element, they actually weren't able to flub it. I had been looking for some way, actually. Yeah, see, in an earlier version of this, the way we were playing was that everybody had their casting cards in their hand. But that didn't give the leader information. Like, you could have a big stack of casting cards right here, and then you play whichever casting cards you want. It could work that way. It could work that way. Well, I'll just make note of this right here. There is an option C we could do, and this is just everyone is dealt a stack, a hand of casting cards of both Yabba Zabba Da and failure cards, the no cards. Enough to always play what they want. So now we would be removing the random element entirely, to always play what they want. And it might speed, or it does. We don't have to go through the the deck building here. But, okay, so this is no information for the leader, right? No information for the leader. The leader does have control, though, because the leader is still the person who formed the casting team. So this is the main playtest part of the game. Like, what are we trying to do here? And we want to make sure this is really right. The last time we played it, I played it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I played it. No. I think no. It's changed since then. So people did tend to get a little bit confused because at one time we had the player, the leader, looking at the top card, and the leader could either deal it out or burn it, and then deal the person 2 cards. So look at a card. Do I want to give this card to that person? Yes or no. If I do, slide it over and then deal them another card randomly. That was another way to do it. When we play tested it that way, dealing the leader would get confused and start looking at too many cards. So that was why that got rejected. Oh, it's Positive Fandom. Hello, Positive Fandom. Welcome. That's RM. Glad to have you here this morning. So looking at Access Your Inner Light says, Heath, what do you think of a much rarer ritual card that would undo a failure? Does that break the game? Can you undo a failure? Like having a casting card in the deck. If you are handing them out randomly, that would be like a super cast card. That might work. I don't know if it would break the game or not. I would have to, let me just make a note about idea, which is like critical success. Could be, but okay. On the other hand, the general idea about the cultists is that they're generally inept anyway. So I don't know if it might disrupt things thematically. Hey, everybody, do go over to the Positive Fandom channel. She's we're on the same page as far as a constructive approach to geekdom and fandom and the geekverse. And she covers a lot of stuff about media. That's going on. Okay, so this is the big part. So this is the big playtesting part. But so once everybody's got their cards, once the ritualists have their cards, once the cards have been dealt, each player participating in the ritual selects one casting card from their hand in secret and places it face down on the table. Loyal cultist must play a Yabba Zabba Da card if he or she has one. Now, if you've handed everybody a hand of cards, then the loyal cultist would always be able to play successfully. One option here, okay, that was one thing we were thinking, like, what happens if you actually have a hand of cards where you could play whatever you want? That means that loyal cultists could always play Yabba Zabba Da, and there would not be a way for them to accidentally screw it up. Because if you are randomly dealing out what ritual cards go to those loyal cultists, well, it could be that you deal 2 no's to a loyal cultist, and then they don't have a choice. They're accidentally screwing up the ritual. The ritual got screwed up, and you're not sure if that is because there was an agent of the Yellow King enemy action involved, or if it was just a screw up from a loyal cultist. And I kind of feel like the screw up from the loyal cultist is a really thematic part of this game, because the cultists themselves for the web show are such screw ups. So ideally, I want there to be some uncertainty involved as to whether or not this was enemy action or it was a screw up. Now, that could be too much, because it could be that if you get a no card, you know for a fact that somebody in here was an enemy. And that could be enough for the game. It might be too much to say, maybe somebody in here was an enemy. Because then it's just figuring out who it is. Agents of the yellow may play either Yabba Zabba Da card or a failure card at their discretion. So if they don't want to screw it up because they think they're going to be exposed, they could play a Yabba Zabba Da card. Once each participating player has selected a casting card, the leader collects all the casting cards played and shuffles them face down. It should not be possible for anyone to know what player card was played by what player. The leader then reveals the played casting card and reveals all the played casting cards at a time and determines whether or not the ritual succeeded or failed. In order to be a successfully cast ritual, every casting card played must be a Yabba Zabba Da card. No failure cards can have been played. If the ritual succeeds, the ritual card is placed on the successfully cast track on the board. If this is the fifth successfully completed ritual, the loyal cultists win. If the ritual fails, the ritual card is placed on the failed track for the game board. If this is the third failed ritual, the agents of the yellow win. Okay. So here, like I said, you don't know who played what. Okay, because I feel like in a very early version of the game, I had everybody know what you played. Play the casting card in front of you and turn it over, and then you would know who played Yabba Zabba Da and who played failure. Then you got to have somebody argue that point. Okay, if somebody plays no, then there would be, failure. There are two options. Well, if there was no randomization of the cards and you knew that somebody played no, then it's obviously too obvious that they're a cultist of the Yellow King, and that won't work. But if they have been randomly dealt two cards, this is an advantage to moving away from the solid hand, right? Or the hand that you're dealt at the beginning of the game. If you are dealt two cards and you have to play a no card, well, it could be because you were dealt two no's, right? And you could argue that and say, no, I'm not. I was just dealt two no cards. I screwed this up. I'm a loyal cultist. I just screwed up. I'm sorry. That's why that's why it would be good to give some information to the leader. Okay. If the leader just deals two cards, which could be done. I mean, maybe the leader has no information. They're just dealt two cards. Everybody's just dealt two cards. And then if you have to play a no, and that's public information, then it's just known, right? And then you have to argue, I was dealt two no cards. And then whether that's correct or not is not something that will ever be known. But if the leader did have a little bit of information, like, well, I know I sent you one. I know I sent you one Yabba Zabba Da. You would get the accusations there. See, even the design of a social deduction game like this is fun. I think even though they have so many different common elements, well, like an RPG has so many different common elements, there are different things to be done and thought about to make the game really fun at the game here. Okay, so if the card then is placed on either the interrogation or the excommunication card spaces, the current leader resolves these special rules immediately. See the special rules section. If the game has not been won by either side, all casting cards are gathered face down and reshuffled in preparation for the next casting. The leader passes the fish card clockwise to the next player. That player is the new leader. This new leader begins the new ritualist assembly phase. The game proceeds through the ritualist assembly phase and casting phases until one team is won. Okay, so here are the special rules. Interrogation. Have you been compromised by the Yellow King? As soon as the second ritual is failed, the player to the left of the leader for that ritual may secretly look at the cultist card of any player who was involved in the ritual other than that of the leader. He or she may not show the card to the player, but is free to comment on it or make accusations that he or she cares to make. After examination, return the cultist card to the original player. So that's two Yellow King successes right there. And that would allow one player to be, like the Inquisitor coming after Rob coming after Dave. Have you been compromised by the Yellow King? To get additional information before we get Yellow King victory. And then excommunication. When the fourth ritual is successfully cast, the player who was the leader for that ritual must excommunicate a player at the table. That player is eliminated from the game. Do not reveal the excommunicated player's cultist card. That leader may not excommunicate him or herself. The the excommunicated player may not be, excuse me, the excommunicated player may be beaten with a rubber fish if so desired. So it'd be really nice to have a rubber fish there at the table to excommunicate somebody with. I do have in here playtesting with proxy pieces. I didn't want too much it to be too difficult. So I like to do playtesting at home or whatever if you're actually trying to play with somebody. So here is how you can do that. And actually, I also didn't want too much printing and playing. Well, I won't bring this up. But in the PDF I send out, there is cards to cut out that have the rituals on them and things like that, just from the numbers. So there isn't a whole lot to print and cut out. But it sure would be nice if we could do playtesting online. That seems like a really good thing for the community to do. How do we do that? You see, one of the complicated parts of this is if we're all playing online and we are like on Zoom or whatever, if the leader has to secretly give something to other players, that's kind of hard to do in a virtual environment. I think it would be easy if we had the tabletop simulator, but those are complicated to set up. Access Your Inner Light says, I'm going to take this down. I don't think option C would work in this type of game. It kind of takes away social deduction if every cultist has the ability to always make either choice. See, that's what I kind of think too. I think that's why that was gotten away from, because I think it's better if you don't know whether this is enemy action or just screw-ups on your part. It means that there was, of course, I mean, the deduction part is who was it? Because in that case, you would definitely want to randomize the cards that were cast. You wouldn't want to put that down in front of you, because you know for a fact that everybody had every choice in both cases. And that the only reason you'd be playing a no is if you are a cultist of the Yellow King. So that would have to be randomized and shuffled by the leader and then all shown at once and go, oh, there's one or more in there. Social deduction would become, who is it? If you publicly know what casting card you're playing, then you want plausible deniability. The randomization has to be there. Access Your Inner Light says, well, unless it were limited hand, maybe 2 cards plus 2 randomly dealt at each ritual. I've thought about those kinds of variants too. So let's see, I did go through that kind of variant. Now, what was the issue there? What was the issue there? Well, I thought that what you could do is you could deal like 2 no's to everybody at the start of the game. Like everybody gets 1 or 2 no's. Let me just think through this, talking through this here. That way, you know, because the idea is that if they want to, a cultist of the Yellow King should be able to automatically tank the ritual, because screwing something up is easy. And the agents of the Yellow King are well organized. So if the agent of the Yellow King is there, I would like for them to have a no in their hand to play. So one solution to that is dealing everybody no casting cards across the table. So everybody knows that you've got 2 no's in your hand. But then if you dealt other cards to people during the ritual, well, let's see, would that work? Deal 2 cards during the ritual. You might still be dealing more no's to people, and that would flub you, which would be good. But you'd also be dealing yeses to people and allow yabba zabba da and allow them to play that. That also means that there can be fewer. The ratio of yabba zabba da cards to no cards is also important. So you'd want to have a higher ratio of yabba zabba da cards in the random deck then when you start to throw those out. Because you know that people have the no cards. Maybe everybody needs 3 no cards. I think in that situation, that way that way, theoretically, if you were a cultist of the Yellow King and you were on every ritual part of the casting team, you could tank it every time. So everybody would need 3. That's not all that many. So you could deal out 3. But you wouldn't want people to know if they had played one of their 3 cards during the game, right? So if you're dealt 2 randomly, and you're going to give one in for the ritual, and then are you going to discard the other card? And then how many cards do you have sitting there? You want everybody to always have the same number of cards in front of them, or some known number of cards in front of them. Does that make sense? Because you don't want to look over and see, oh, that guy's short a card out of his base hand. He must have played a no card. Would it be more thematic to use miscast rather than no? Yeah, I'm saying no here. It could be miscast. I think I just had failure.
Sorry, I'm still not sure about.
Oh, I think I just had failure on it. Just a really obvious fail. But that could be something that gets changed too. How easy is it to set up Tabletop Simulator? Like, that was my issue. I think that's no. What I've set up is Tabletopia. I set up Tabletopia before. And it's a lot of work to get a new game on there. And so for playtesting purposes, it's hard. Is Tabletop Simulator easy to set up these decks and things like that? Does anybody know how to do it? Like, fast? Because that would be a great, I mean, it seems like having a virtual tabletop would be a great way to go. All right. Well, we can talk about questions, anything like that. We got a few more minutes here. Most of the streamed Secret Hitler games I've watched have been on Tabletop Simulator. I'll check into those. I'll check those out and see what they're doing, because I don't want it to take too much time in the setup for in prep of this. But a lot of people, I think, would enjoy being able to come in and actually try out playtests. Then we try out more variants of the rules, and I think it'd be fun. All right, sip. All right, that's Ritual. Thank you so much for being here with me. We'll probably, I'm going to think about this some more. I should probably put some additional core creative time into this, because I want to send out a new version of the rules to playtesters, a week or 2 weeks or something like that. And it would be really great if we also had the digital playtest solution up by then. That would be great. All right, I tell you what, let's go over and go ahead and begin the short segment here at the end, where we are trying to think about what we need to do for today and improve life. I'm serious, because then what we'll do, actually, I think tonight, we've got the shows tonight, so don't forget that. We've got the episode 6 tonight, and then we also have the after party. I'm giving away one of the dice trays at the after party, but then we'll probably do some evening grind at the end of the live stream. Brianna might want to join us there. So we're going to look at what we got to do today, and then we're going to try to we will look and see whether or not we were successful on the evening grind at the end of the after party live stream today. That's good, because the after party is always high energy. So then we can just kind of mellow after the after party, because it is the evening. At least it's the evening where I am. So let me see here about bringing up auxiliary camera. Oh, wait, I need to go over here first.
Well, I manage my department, and I've been doing that for several years now.
Your department's just you, right?
Yes, Jim, but I am not easy to manage.
Okay, so what we were trying to do is come up with what it is that we need to do today. And this morning, I got a late start. Sleep did not go well. Got to fix that. I found if I can get sleep right, that's a great way to start the day. Get sleep right, and then get up early and get into whatever it is I'm trying to do before I get here to the stream. Actually, one of the reasons that I put this stream here at 9:30 a.m. for me is the idea is that, well, if I'm up and working, I could probably get about 3 hours of core creative time in before I have to start the stream. So you could try something like that too, depending on what your time zone is and things like that. we know that we're going to start the morning grind, and you could be cleaning during the morning grind, or you could be sculpting, or you could be painting. You could make this part of your core creative time, provided you're probably not writing something. Like that one might be hard. But if you're doing something else, use the morning grind time here to help yourself out. And see if you can get in 3 hours of or 2 hours or whatever amount of core creative time you're trying to do before the morning grind, and see if you can get it done. I didn't do it today. Yesterday, I was in a serious zone. I was able to do, all kinds of work, but I knew that was the first day. And so, I was real enthused. I didn't get up as early today. And then I messed up because I can't find the fish. And actually, I've lost also my medical pouch that I assembled for hiking and adventuring. So that also threw me off this morning. I got to go find it. But I'm trying to do, so I haven't done any core creative time today. But we're taking our categories. So core creative time is whatever it is that you are trying to work on and create. But it could also be yoga. This is, if you're trying to do that, put that down here. This is a real inclusive kind of thing here. It's whatever you really want to be able to do during the day. That's your core creative time. And I'm using blocks to represent 25 minutes spent on that time. So if you are familiar with the Pomodoro technique, or you're not familiar with it, look that up. The Pomodoro technique is a great way. I've used it for a long time for time management to stay on tasks. Look that up if you're not familiar with it, but it's based in 25-minute increments. And that's why I've got boxes representing 25 minutes. And actually, if you stand up at the end of 25 minutes, we didn't talk about the watch, but if you get your watch hooked up, like for stand goals and things like that, if you work for 25 minutes and you stand up, and then I try to clean something or put something to place or something like that, because that's, take a 5-minute break, you also get your stand goals in, right? Things get picked up, things get kind of cleaned throughout the day, put things away that you've been using during your 25-minute period, and then you also reach your stand goal on your watch. So core creative time, like for me, another category here is YouTube, right? So I put that down here. For me, as a creative person, if you're a creative person who's working on your own business, or you are trying to create, to publish and sell what you're creating, you don't have to be here. You don't have to be that. You could be just creating things for your gaming group on Friday night, right? And you think, gee, I'm the game master. I really want to be able to run a good game for these. Maybe your core creative time is to spend, I really need to spend 25 minutes today. If I could spend 25 minutes today actually thinking about my game that I'm going to run for my friends tonight, that would make my life better, right? So that could be your core creative time. But for me, if you are trying to actually publish that, the fact is that the creative part of that is not actually the business. And that does really suck, right? Because the business is all these other things you've got to do, and actually, in order to actually publish your stuff and get your stuff out there to the world, which is often not part of the core creative stuff. If you're a publisher, think about this. If you're a publisher for board games or books or whatever else, do you write books? No, right? You've got to do everything else. You get finished manuscripts in, and then you do everything else to publish them. So if you're trying to do this all yourself, like many of us are, well, the publisher part, that's the business part of this. But then you also have to make sure that you are doing the core creative stuff, because what you find out is that the business side of things will just overrun things. So for me, I need to work. I did get business stuff done this morning before the stream started. So that's why I've already got some boxes checked here. Cleaning. I'm still trying to get this house in order, because, like I said, that last 6 months has been a disaster for me. It's been a disaster. So I have I've let the house go, and I need to clean this up, especially if we're going to shoot more dinner and a board game and stuff like that. I need to get the dungeon gaming room back in order and things like that. So I'm putting cleaning on there. And then I think another really important category is deliberate recreation. Deliberate recreation. And that's why I'm kind of starting the afternoon adventure. May tweet about it, may put that on Instagram. Because one of the worst things, I think, is, you got work to do, or that you've got to get done. And then you also have a list of like shows you want to watch, or movies you want to watch, and you realize you're not getting work done. All right. And so, but rather than just stopping and saying, all right, then deliberate recreation time, for some reason, I don't have the energy. I don't have I have hit some kind of, mental block or something like that, writer's block or something like that on the work I got to do. So I'm going to just transition from that and go over and do deliberate recreation. I'm going to watch one of the movies that I really want to watch. Okay. If you're in one of those two zones, those can be really good zones to be in. The worst zone to be in is to be in that zone where you're like, well, I'm not doing work. I don't want to do work. I don't want to do work. I don't want to do work. But you also know you should be doing work. And so instead you just kind of like scroll through Reddit or, go through Twitter or stuff like that. So it's kind of relaxing. You're like, well, it was kind of an easy day, but you didn't deliberately recreate and you didn't do work. And that's the worst. I'm trying to avoid that zone. I'm really trying to avoid that zone. So that's why I've got deliberate recreation here, and I'm calling it active recreation. Because, by the way, we could also, track weight. Like yesterday, I was at 192.1 pounds, which is heavy for me. I'm heavy. I've got to lose weight. So my recreation needs to be deliberate, active recreation. And so that's why I've taken up hiking. And I've been trying to do a 3-mile hike every day. If I go out and I just leave the house and I walk for an hour, which is why I got 2 blocks here, I can try to do 3 miles. And if I push myself, I'm going to try to do more. But that's a good way that I'm doing it. You may want to go to the gym. You might need to increase weight. Keep track of that. Because people are like, I've got to gain weight, want to build muscle mass, that kind of stuff. I need to lose weight. So that's why I'm doing that. Get your main categories. I don't recommend more than this. I got 5 different categories here. 1, 2, 3. Because core creative, YouTube. See, I got YouTube here. I can't be doing, my core creative while I'm streaming. So I'm doing core creative, YouTube, Raven Keep, which is the business, trying to clean and then actively recreate. I mean, if I put my day into those categories, that would be a really great way for the day to go. Now, check how many boxes you've got, okay? Because you don't want to overrun your day, because you're going to get depressed if you put all these boxes down here and then you're not able to check them. So you want to have boxes that you're actually able to check. I've got to work 3 hours a day on business. The whole point of, at least that's the minimum. But the whole point of doing what I'm doing is that I want to be able to work on my stories. I want to be able to work on the game design. I want to be able to work on the core creative part of that. So I'm doing the business so that I can work on that. If I don't get that done, then what's the point in life, right? Whatever that is for you. That could be yoga, whatever it is that you enjoy. And then I've got YouTube and then cleaning here. So I've got, tonight the show starts at 7:30. So how many hours do we have here? I got 7, 8, 9. We got like 9 hours, which is before I got to be on this again. So I don't want to overfill here. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, that's 7 hours accounted for between now and the start of the next show when I'll be back on YouTube. So can we do it? We're going to be holding ourselves accountable on the experimental evening grind or the wind down or whatever we're going to call it. And that'll be live right after the after party. So I got some comments. Let me look at the comments and then we'll get out of here and we'll actually start getting productive. I hope this is useful. If this is a stupid thing to do, maybe the comments are all telling me this is a stupid thing to do. But I think, if we were all organized, we had our life in order, we could all just take over the world. Oh, what I got is spam. So Access Your Inner Light says, I got a sleep mask recently. It has completely changed my sleeping, much deeper now. That could be a key. That could be really important. Now you don't want to sleep too much because I've got a blackout curtain here in my office, so I can put this place dark, so I can put the lighting like I want it to for mood lighting when I'm writing. I also put a blackout curtain in my bedroom when there's just one window in there, so I can make it completely dark in there if I want to. Having a sleep mask with you, is a really good idea, or earplugs. But I found, man, I can really sleep if I put in earplugs and I'm in complete darkness and whatever, but then that's too much sleep. And then I'm sleeping too much and I'm not actually getting stuff done. So I don't understand CCT. I don't understand what that is. But okay. So, but a little bit of life planning, like, I kind of think I don't want this segment to go more than 10 minutes. We do our tabletop geek stuff for an hour, but then, this is 10 extra minutes. And if we sat down and we actually planned out what that was, oh, and if there another way to do it would be to have, just put down like 3 things that you really want to accomplish today. And if you had 3 things that you accomplished and you did them, keep that written down with you, you would have a great day. And then, well, you'd be happy by the end of the day. And that's where you want to get to. We want to be happy at the end of the day when we get to the evening grind. And so if we took 10 minutes, this is 10 minutes of the day after our geek time, to plan out what would make the rest of the day great, these 10 minutes are worth it. I mean, these 10 minutes would be completely worth it. It's a little bit of planning. It's 10 minutes of planning during the day for potentially making the day go exactly how you want it to go. Oh, core creative time, deliberate active recreation. Oh, yes, we need to start using those acronyms. Got it. CCT, core creative time, DAR, deliberate active recreation. Perfect. All right, everybody. So let's go be creative. Let's go be productive. I will see you tonight at 7:30 on the channel for The Cultists Season 2, Episode 6. Later, everybody.